Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live show on the channel. And even though it's international break, even though the transfer window is over, I've got a fair few topics I want to talk about with you guys that I've got written down. Right now, I know there's two Manchester United players playing right now for France, in Martial and Pogba in the France-Ukraine game, and I was debating whether going live after the France-Ukraine game. But you know what? If I watch the France-Ukraine game, I'm just going to sit there on my phone watching it because, as weird as it sounds, I just don't like the international break. You know, with 3 games into the season, I don't want an international break. The Premier League's just getting going. Boom, international break. It's like any momentum you can build international break. And I'm not going to rant about this too much, but whoever decided to make the international break 3 games into the Premier League season, bear in mind we hadn't watched Premier League football for 12 weeks and then decide 3 games into 2 weeks after action to have an international break, deserves to be sacked, because I think it's the worst thing ever. I think it's absolutely stupid. But you know what? Less of that. Bruno has scored a penalty versus Qatar today. Obviously, Ronaldo scored 2 goals when he played Ireland, Martial and Pogba in action. If any Man United players are involved in anything, just put it in the live chat if you're watching both this and the game. But let me update you. What are we going to be talking about in today's show, people? We're going to be talking about Ronaldo back in Manchester. Is Ronaldo back in Manchester? And if that is the case, Ronaldo will be able to be involved in Manchester United's game versus Newcastle. We'll talk a little bit about that. Fabrizio Romano has revealed some transfer news and secrets regarding Manchester United. Obviously, France-Ukraine going on right now, and Ronaldo breaking the shirt sale record. So not only has Ronaldo broken the international goal scoring record, he's broken the shirt sale record in 12 hours, and the fucking Glazers are loving it. They've made £32 million in shirt sales in 12 hours. Absolute mad one. I know that we don't get all the money. I know we only get percentages like £32 million, but invest out in the CM in January. And we will be talking about, will Man United sign anyone in January? Some hints by Romano about possible January players. We will talk about that. We're going to talk about how Mason Greenwood cannot be dropped. Could he form a potential deadly duo with Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo? What will Man United have to do when Rashford's back? Because Rashford's going to be back in about a month, by the way, guys. So there's only 2 or 3 more games that we're going to play without Rashford involved. Greenwood won Manchester United Player of the Month, by the way. Sancho's dropped out of England duty with a knock. He'll return to Manchester United training, which is good. But Sancho should be back in time for the Newcastle game, so not too worrying about that. Will Donny van de Beek get the minutes he promised? That's a bit of a debate to have later on. How Man United need to win their next few games. Real Madrid could get Pogba on a free if he doesn't sign a contract. We'll talk about that later on. And what style of football will Ollie play? So lots to talk about in today's video, but I can ask you guys watching, could you please do one thing? And if you can do this one thing, it'll be really, really helpful. But please, could you go ahead and slap that like button? Please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, please do go ahead and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football, as it means a lot. But we're going to get straight into the news. Joe says United didn't sign CAMAVINGA because he didn't want to come, and that is pretty much the case. So Fabrizio Romano did talk about why we didn't get CAMAVINGA and all of that. And Richard Arnold is basically an Ed Woodward replica. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Ed Woodward's replacement, the new CEO, what Romano said, and of course, Ronaldo back in Manchester. But I want to talk about quickly what Fabrizio Romano's had to say regarding CAMAVINGA and the CDM situation at Manchester United. So we know that Man United's dream midfielder was CAMAVINGA. We know that we actually held quite extensive talks with CAMAVINGA, and I think if CAMAVINGA had chosen Manchester United, we would have signed him. You know, despite signing Ronaldo, despite not having the funds for a midfielder, Manchester United were going out of their way to try and get this CAMAVINGA deal over the line. Manchester United were very, very interested in signing Eduard CAMAVINGA. We know he was the dream midfield target. We know that from Mr. Fabrizio Romano, it was CAMAVINGA, Sal, Neves, but we didn't even pursue Sal, and we didn't really even pursue Neves. We just inquired about them, but we did actively try and pursue CAMAVINGA. Now, the situation with CAMAVINGA to Manchester United is that Romano said that CAMAVINGA had a choice between PSG, Manchester United, and Real Madrid, but Fabrizio Romano reveals that that CAMAVINGA wanted to go to Real Madrid. So the reason Manchester United did not sign CAMAVINGA is because, believe it or not, he wanted to go to Real Madrid. And look, fair enough, you want to go to Real Madrid, be part of their rebuild. You know, Real Madrid, I think, right now are not as strong as they used to be. They're aging, but you've got to think, you know, Real Madrid, look, they're not great at the moment. Casemiro, Modric, Kroos, that's gone. The Ronaldo era's gone. But all their best players at Real Madrid are in their 30s. But then they've got Valverde and CAMAVINGA coming through, which could be the rebuild in the Real Madrid midfield. So I do sit there and I go, you know what? Fair play to Real Madrid. Fair play to CAMAVINGA. If he wants to go to Real Madrid, that's his decision. I still think if Real Madrid had got Mbappe, then CAMAVINGA wouldn't have gone, and it would have been a choice between Man United and PSG. But that's why we didn't get CAMAVINGA. But a player that did want to come to Manchester United, guys, that Fabrizio Romano has revealed, is Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, we know Ronaldo wanted to come to Manchester United, and we know that Ronaldo and his agent played a game pretending they were going to go to Manchester City to try and get United to swoop in for him. But Romano had revealed after 3 days of negotiation with Manchester City, Jorge Mendes started talking with Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo, and a deal was done at an impressive speed. So Man United managed to get this deal done in less than 24 hours for Cristiano Ronaldo. After holding talks with Ronaldo, we got that deal done in 24 hours. So Man United can very, very easily get a deal done in a day. We've seen it when we got loads of players in our deadline day with Amad Diallo, Palestri. We saw it with fucking Igalo. Man United, if Man United truly want to sign a player, they can sign a player in a day. So if Man United want to get a CDM in January, Man United can go and snap up a CDM in January. Romano also said that sources told him in the evening when Mendes' idea was born, the next morning was the green light. Manchester City had left negotiations. Manchester United are closing in on the deal. So it was very much like Manchester City had held talks with Ronaldo and Mendes for 3 days to try and get the deal done. But as soon as Ronaldo went in, 24 hours later, boosh, 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 United snap up Ronaldo. And as I said time and time before, I'm 99% sure that like Jorge Mendes played United, because if Manchester City were not going to get Ronaldo, United wouldn't have got him. If Ronaldo was going to PSG, United wouldn't have done anything. But the Glazers were so desperate, and we know this from the Athletic. We know this basically from sources that got information from the Glazers. The Glazers were so scared of losing the United fan base. You know, with the Super League protest, the Glazers lost the fan base, and they felt that they'd restored the fan base, signing Sancho and Varane, not a CDM, but they felt like they restored the fan base, and then they knew if Ronaldo went to City, that ruled out the fact that they signed Varane, that ruled out the fact that they signed Sancho to the fans, and that meant that, the United fans obviously, roared up. So I think, the Ronaldo sign for Manchester United was massively a Glazers deal. We do know that by bada-ding, bada-boom. But yeah, that is the case there. Any questions for me, please pop them down below in the live chat. We are going to talk about who is this Manchester United new CEO, who is the new guy coming to Manchester United, how is he going to affect us and all of that. But please, everyone, keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting that like button. Hit that like button if you want the international break to be over. If you are fed up with the international break, if you're like sitting here going, I hate the international break, I cannot wait for fucking Man United to be back on. We got a week to the Newcastle game. If you're in the same situation as me right now, go ahead and smash that like button, because I tell you what, I cannot stand the international break. I sit here and I'm like, I don't want an international break. I mean, I know there's games going on right now. I don't care. I'm live right now. I know my views will probably be less on the stream because obviously there's games going on right now, but I don't want an international break. And if you agree with me with that, smash that like button. But what I do want to talk about is Ed Woodward's replacement. So Sky Sports News have come out and said that Manchester United are closing in on the appointment of a successor to Ed Woodward, with Richard Arnold, the club's managing director, expected to succeed him. An announcement is possible in the coming weeks. So Ed Woodward obviously is leaving Manchester United. We found that out in April, that Ed Woodward would be leaving Manchester United. Hooray, 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 Woodward's gone. And you know what? One summer without Woodward being the main man behind transfers, and it's probably been our best summer in the last 7 years. Maybe the Pogba Statan summer was better, but yes, Ed Woodward is leaving Manchester United. We do know that he's going to be leaving in the next month. But who is his replacement? Who's coming in to replace Ed Woodward? Are they already at the club? Are they new? Let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Ed Woodward's replacement. So Manchester United are closing in on the appointment of Richard Arnold, a managing director expected to succeed Ed Woodward. Now, this is reported by Sky, very, very reliable source. Now, who is this Richard Arnold guy coming in to replace Ed Woodward? Well, this Richard Arnold guy, I'm not going to lie to you guys, isn't the type of man we want at Manchester United, because Richard Arnold is basically another Ed Woodward. I hate to break it to you, Ed Woodward is being replaced by another Ed Woodward. He's literally from the same area as Ed Woodward. He does the same thing as Ed Woodward. He's a banker. He's a finance man. Maybe he has more football knowledge than Ed Woodward, which, isn't hard, because I think my mum has more football knowledge than Ed Woodward. He doesn't have any football knowledge. Finance, Ed Woodward's got a brain. Football, Ed Woodward doesn't have a brain. But Ed Woodward's successor is set to be Richard Arnold. And if you want my honest opinion, he is basically another Ed Woodward. He is basically another Ed Woodward. He works in finance. He's at the club. He's there to do Woodward's job. The only difference is, obviously, Woodward isn't the main man in charge of transfer now, with Mercer coming in and doing the sporting director role. Obviously, Darren Fletcher plays a part in that and all of that. So although Woodward's replacement basically is another Ed Woodward, he's not going to be the main man behind transfers. So that, we've got rid of Woodward. We've got another Woodward in. Hopefully not as bad as Woodward. But again, we know who's going to be behind transfers and all of that. And another thing I do want to talk about before I address some of the live chats is that Cristiano Ronaldo has told his Manchester United teammates that they need to win the Premier League title this year after having talks with Bruno Fernandes. So we're going to talk about Manchester United winning the league, guys. And Ronaldo's joined Manchester United to win the league. Ronaldo's obviously joined Man United to win trophies. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo is very, very close to the end of his career. Cristiano Ronaldo is a very, very ambitious guy. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo wants what's best for his career, and he wants to win trophies. He wants to be playing at the highest level for as long as possible. And he's gone to Manchester United because they've got 2 top 4 successful finishes. They've come second. He's got a few years left in him. And he believes that Manchester United have the capability to win the league. Cristiano Ronaldo believes that Manchester United have the capability to win the league. So he's gone to Manchester United because he wants to win the league, guys. That is why he's at Man United, because he wants to go ahead and win the league. And he's told Bruno that. And that is the ambition we need at this club. Varane wants to win the league. You know, Bruno Fernandes wants to win the league. Cristiano Ronaldo wants to win the league. I want to win the league. I'm sure all of you guys want to win the league. If you're a Man United fan and you don't want to win the league, I don't know what you're on, because you're not a Man United fan. Basically, everyone wants to win the league. But you have players like Fred, who will come out and go, yeah, top 4 2 seasons in a row, been a very, very good, successful season. And look, you're not wrong. Top 4 2 seasons in a row per Sir Alex Ferguson is a good thing. But the ambition of Man United is to win trophies. And you get players like Fred who have the mentality that last season was a good season, coming second. But no, we're Manchester United. We do not want to come second to our rivals. We want to win trophies. And the mentality of Bruno, the mentality of Ronaldo, the mentality of Varane, what that's going to add to the squad is massive, because Bruno, Varane, and Ronaldo want to win trophies. They want to win the Premier League. They're not content with top 4. You know, I last season, to be fair, was quite content with finishing top 4, because I knew we weren't going to win the league realistically top season. And I was quite content winning top 4. I was like, top 4 2 seasons in a row. Let's build on this. Let's build on this. But obviously, you know, we've got a lot of players in the club at Manchester United that are probably quite content in playing, getting top 4, like Fred, like Lindelof, because they are top 4 players. But Ronaldo, he's come to win trophies. He said it. I've come to Manchester United to win trophies. Ronaldo has gone out and said that. And Bruno's here to win trophies. And they're here to bring the Premier League back to Manchester United. Can they bring the Premier League back to Manchester United? Yes, they can. I've said this in previous live streams, guys. Manchester City didn't have a striker last year. They still won the Premier League. Yes, they have Pep, and yes, we have Oli. Pep is a better manager than Oli. It doesn't take a genius to tell you that. But just because we don't have a CDM doesn't mean we can't win the league. Now, it's going to be harder for us to win the league because Fred is so shit. McTominay's injured. He won't give Donny a chance, and Matic is way past it. So our midfield is considerably weak compared to our competitors, and I do say games are won and lost in midfield. But Manchester United can easily win the league this season, because Chelsea don't have that much depth in terms of a defensive role, especially playing 3 centre-backs, now selling Suma, not getting Koundé in. Chelsea lack the depth there. I do think Chelsea probably have the most well-rounded squad and probably are favourites to win the league. Manchester City still don't have a striker. They got pied by Kane. They got pied by Cristiano Ronaldo. So, you know, Man City don't have a striker. We don't have a CDM, but we have Ronaldo. So Manchester United can definitely win the league. We've got the mentality in the club to win the league. And whether you're Oli in or Oli out, Oli does have an impact on those players in quite a positive way. You know, Man United could play absolutely awful in the first half of a game, and we'd come out in the second half a completely different team. We'd play a completely different style of football. We'd be attacking. We'd be moving the ball quickly. We'd look a completely different motivated team. And whether you're Oli in or Oli out, you have to say one thing about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, you know, he can motivate his team. When Man United go down 1-0 behind at half-time in a game, I know that we're not going to lose that game. As stupid as that sounds, when we go down 1-0 at half-time, I'm confident we're going to go out and win that game. And that's one thing you have to give Oli, whether you're Oli or not Oli out, is that the players definitely play for Oli. So whether you think Oli's good enough to win the league or not, you've got a manager that the players play for. You've got Ronaldo, you've got Bruno, you've got Varane, elite mentality. You know, you've got an attack. I mean, the depth in attack, guys, is absolutely crazy. Sancho, Greenwood, Amad Diallo, 3 solid right-wing options. On the left wing, you can play Pogba, you can play Martial, you can play Rashford, you can even play Sancho on the left wing. At striker, you've got Ronaldo, then you've got Cavani, then you've got Greenwood, then you've even got Martial that can play striker. I mean, Lingard is now back up to Bruno. I know there's a big drop between Lingard and Bruno, but let's say if Bruno got injured, it's not the end of the world to an extent. If Lingard can pick up that West Ham form, you know, look, the only area midfield lacks is the middle. But if Manchester City could win the league with Jesus as their striker, and Jesus is the McTominay equivalent of a striker, a decent striker could do a decent job, but he's not going to be getting you 20+ goals a season. Whereas McTominay is a decent player. He does a good job. Now he's injured. We realised how much we miss McTominay, but McTominay is not the player that's going to be going and getting Manchester United. You know, McTominay's not Kimmich, he's not Kante, but McTominay's a solid player. And I go, okay, McTominay's going to be back from injury in the next month. Okay, Fred is awful, but the only positive about Fred is surely Fred can't play any worse for Manchester United. So although Fred's atrocious, surely he can't put in a worse performance than he did versus Wolves and Southampton. So hopefully all of Fred's future games will not be as bad as the last 2 games. And we got away with Fred putting in the stinker versus Wolves because Mr. Raphael Varane, guys. Mr. Raphael Varane does not need Fred protection as well. And I've said this, with Ronaldo coming in, this is going to force Ollie to stop this negative counter-attacking football where we play McFred, a back six, sit back so deep, not move the ball, not create chances. You've got a player like Ronaldo. Ronaldo needs one chance and he'll score. We saw this versus Ireland. We saw this Ireland versus Portugal. Ronaldo was quiet, 88th minute goal, 95th minute goal, 2 headers. With Ronaldo, all he needs is one chance, 2 chances. Boom, boom, boom. Like, he takes it. And Ollie's got to play attacking football. Ollie's got to play attacking football. If you want to win the league, Ollie's got to play attacking football. Because first half, Man United, when we sit back, we play negatives, counter-attacking football. We'd be awful. We'd normally go in a goal behind, even though we basically play in a back six. We somehow concede a silly goal. We'd come out in the second half in games last season. We'd move the ball quickly. We'd play this attacking football. Tom and I would start to run up the pitch and get forward. And all of a sudden, we'd be 1-0 down. We'd win the game 3-1. Spurs, Burnley, just as an example, last season, right at the end of last season as well. So Man United are in a situation with now Ronaldo coming, we've got to play attacking football. We've got to play exciting football. We've got to play free-flowing football. We've got to play the football that we want to see at Manchester United. And I also do want to mention, as I said, back to my Raphael Varane point, Wolves ran past Fred. It was basically a one-man midfield. It was a one-man pivot with Paul Pogba versus Wolves because Wolves ran past Fred. I mean, there's so many videos on TikTok. Fred was awful versus Wolves. And we played McTominay and Fred very, very deep because they have to protect Maguire and Lindelof because we know when attackers run at Maguire and Lindelof, they are screwed. I remember first game of the season last year versus Crystal Palace. We lost 3-1. We got absolutely obliterated by Crystal Palace. They ran for us. They made us look like mugs. Lindelof had an absolute stinker that game, and Zaha completely mugged off Manchester United. We know, like, with Lindelof and Maguire, you can't run at them. But Maguire had Varane next to him, and they had Adama Traore running at you. And look, whether Adama Traore is a shit finisher or not, Adama Traore is the player you do not want running at you. Adama Traore is one of the best dribblers with the ball. He's so fast, he's so physical. You do not want Adama Traore running at you. And because Fred provided no protection in the pivot versus Wolves, Adama Traore and the quick Wolves attackers that were pacey, that were young, although they couldn't finish, were constantly running at Varane and Maguire. But Varane and Maguire dealt with that well because of Varane. Now, Varane made a massive difference to that defence. Look, Wan-Bissaka was absolutely incredible versus Wolves. He's the reason we didn't lose, along with De Gea, along with Greenwood, along with Varane as well. But what I'm saying is you can run at Varane. If you're a pacey attacker, you can go ahead and run at Raphael Varane. You can go ahead and run at Raphael Varane, and he's fine. And Maguire looks so much better next to Raphael Varane. And I sit here and I go, this is why I think we can win the league. Because Varane doesn't just add his mentality, but Maguire and Wan-Bissaka looked a lot better next to Raphael Varane. Maguire and Luke Shaw, the left-hand side of the defence, is very solid anyway. We saw that for England. Maguire and Luke Shaw are so key for England. We saw that in Euros. We saw that towards the end of the season for Manchester United. Maguire is a very, very good player. Maguire and Luke Shaw key on the left-hand side. It was the right-hand side of the defence we were always worried about. Lindelof was a liability. I think Wan-Bissaka's positioning was always a bit off. But now with Varane coming in, literally, Traore kept running at them. Varane dealt with it. Varane put some blocks. Maguire looked better. Because of Varane's pace, when we were hit on the counter-attack, it wasn't as worrying. Because Lindelof is not very quick. When we were hit on the counter-attack, we were worried. With Varane as well, because of the experience, Wan-Bissaka looks so much better defensively. His positioning improved because we always complain that Wan-Bissaka's out of position. He's got to tuck in and he's got to protect Lindelof. And Wan-Bissaka often also plays as a third centre-back. And it's almost like we have 3 centre-backs and a left-back at the time when we play with Lindelof because Wan-Bissaka's pace is so crucial. He's got to stay back so much because of Lindelof and protect Lindelof. But with Varane in, Wan-Bissaka looks so much better, as well as Maguire. We've seen that Maguire's so improved next to Stones. We've seen Maguire so improved next to Bailly. And we saw that Maguire's so improved next to Varane. And I go, this is why we can play attacking football. You've got Ronaldo in. And if you create chances for Ronaldo, he's going to score them. Like Ronaldo could be quiet all game. He gets 2 chances. You're 1-0 down. He wins the game 2-1. That's what he did versus Ireland the other day. But you don't need to play McTominay in front of the back six because Varane doesn't need that protection that Lindelof needs. As I said, we saw it versus Wolves. So Man United are hoping we'll go into the Southampton game and be like, you know what? Look, McTominay's injured and we've got to play Pogba on left. I'm sorry. With Rashford injured, I prefer Pogba in the pivot. But if we don't have a top CDM, Pogba's better on the left. 2 assists in 5 games on the left. If I'm Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm going, Pogba got 2 assists in 5 games on the left. You've now got Ronaldo in. You know, Ronaldo's the most clinical striker in world football. Ronaldo's the most clinical striker in world football by a mile. And, you know, Pogba's got 5 assists in 2 games. With Ronaldo in there instead of Greenwood, instead of Martial, that could be 10 assists in 3 games at this rate. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully Ole puts Pogba on the left, just why Rashford's out. I think when Rashford's back, you've got to put Rashford in because Rashford is, again, a player that can make something out of nothing. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with McTominay injured, that means his options in the pivot are Matic and Fred. But hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to sit there and go, you know what? I don't need to play Matic and Fred in the pivot. And do you know what? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't need to play Matic and Fred in the pivot because Varane doesn't need that protection. He's going, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might sit there and go, you know what? It's not Lindelof and Maguire. It's Varane and Maguire. Fred provided no protection versus Wolves. Varane was fine. I'm going to play Matic and Donny. And whether you like Donny van de Beek or not, he deserves a chance. I think Fred deserves to be dropped because of how shit he was versus Wolves and how shit he was versus Southampton. I think Fred deserves to be dropped by a fucking mile. Fred deserves to be dropped so badly. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer must sit there for the Newcastle game and go, with Ronaldo playing striker versus Newcastle, we need Pogba for service. 5 assists, 2 games of left mid. Okay, Fred needs to be dropped. McTominay's injured. You know what? Matic and Donny in the pivot. And there is a stat. When Donny and Bruno play on the same pitch together. Now, a lot of the time, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer uses Donny as a Bruno replacement. A lot of the time when Donny van de Beek plays, he is solidly a Bruno Fernandes replacement. He comes on for Bruno or when we rest Bruno, but Donny isn't a Bruno replacement because actually when Manchester United play with Donny and Bruno on the same pitch, they actually average a goal, I think, every 37 minutes with Donny and Bruno on the same pitch, because when Bruno has Fred behind him, you often find that Bruno has quiet games. Unless McTominay drives forward, Bruno often has quite quiet games with Fred behind him, especially towards the end of the season, especially in the big 6 games. People go, Bruno can't do it in the big top 6 games. Bruno's crap in big games. The reason Bruno was poor in big games isn't really on Bruno, because the way we'd set up in big games was Maguire, Lindelof, McTominay, Fred was that kind of back 6, very, very depressing, and none of the attack got the ball. Not even Bruno, not even Greenwood, not even Rashford. Whoever was playing as an attacker in those big 6 games got starved to the ball because we got so many 0-0s in those games because the attackers didn't get the ball because we were so defensive. We were absolutely ridiculously defensive in their big games. And, people going that Bruno can't do it in the big games and all that. I don't think it's because it was a big game. I think it's because of the way we set up in the big games. And I think Bruno, unless McTominay plays as a box-to-box and Fred sits deep defensively, and Fred can't really sit deep defensively because he's not good enough as a CDM, we don't get the best out of Bruno. And I think if you play Donny van de Beek in the pivot next to Matic, you could get the best out of Bruno, because when Bruno and Donny have been on the same pitch together, they've always worked. Newcastle will drawing 1-1. Donny comes on as a sub in the box-to-box position. We turn from 1-0 to 4-1. Donny's involved in that crucial counter-attack goal that makes it 2-1 lead to Manchester United in the last time we played Newcastle last year. And by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's logic, Fred started versus Leeds because they had a good game versus Leeds last season. We beat them 6-2. Martial started versus Southampton the other day because when we beat Southampton 9-0, Martial had a good game. Remember that. So by Ole's logic, if Donny made a massive impact versus Newcastle when we beat them 4-1, and he played on the same pitch as Bruno, and Donny was only on the pitch for 20 minutes and we scored 3 goals, surely Donny should start versus Newcastle as well. Because Donny and Bruno together, I think Bruno's better with Donny next to him. I think Bruno is. And with McTominay injured, you can't play him. With Fred's performances, he deserves to be dropped. And Ronaldo coming in and how good Pogba's been on the left, keep Pogba on the left. So for me, going into the Newcastle game, there's absolutely no excuse not to play Donny van de Beek. And going back to my point that Ronaldo's obviously told his Manchester United teammates that he wants to win the Premier League title. Ronaldo, Bruno have discussed that they want to win the title this year. We can win the title without CDM. We can win the title without CDM. Man City won without striker, because you know what? If you play Matic and Fred, we're not going to win the title. But if you play Matic and Donny, and I know you can't play Matic and Donny week in, week out. You play Matic and Donny some weeks, and then when Rashford's back, you go to Pogba and McTominay, because you know what? McTominay, when he plays next to Pogba, normally does a good job. McTominay, when he plays next to Fred, is normally shit. And you know what? I've always been criticising McTominay and Fred as a unit. I've always criticised McTominay and Fred as if they're one player. But the way Pogba played when he was on the left-hand side, the way Pogba played back in lockdown NHS United when he was next to Matic, was a completely different breed to the Pogba we saw versus Wolves. The Pogba we saw versus Wolves was made to look shit because he was playing next to Fred. And maybe that's the problem with McTominay, because when I look at the games that McTominay's played with Pogba, he's actually been pretty good. Like the Villarreal game, I know we lost Champions League final, not Europa League final, but McTominay was definitely one of Manchester United's best players. So I sit here and go, our pivot options should be Donny and Matic, especially when Rashford's injured. But when Rashford's back, Fred and McTominay. And I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know what your pivot options would be, but that's my opinion. We've got basically 200 people watching, by the way, guys. If you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Every like, every sub, every share means a lot on the channel. Any questions you have for me, again, please do pop them down below in the live chat. I'm going to try and read and reply to as many questions as possible in the live chat, so please do go ahead and put them down below. I'm going to do a little bit of Q&A before I get into my next topic, which is revealing some Manchester United transfer secrets that Fabrizio Romano has spoken about. So please like, please subscribe. There's going to be a Manchester United watch-along for Ronaldo's debut versus Newcastle. I'm going to be doing a match preview Friday or Thursday night for Manchester United versus Newcastle. While I talk about what starting 11 we'll see versus Newcastle. By Thursday night, I think we'll be able to guess the starting 11 that Ollie will play versus Newcastle. Match previews, match reactions, match watch-alongs, and pretty much daily Manchester United news updates on the channel. Please do go ahead and subscribe for that. But we've hit 100 likes, so everyone keep smashing that like button and all of that. Someone asked, am I breathing? I am now. But Rishab says that Donny and Matic controlled the game versus Wolves last year and they didn't play last Sunday. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I'm so fed up of talking about Donny van de Beek on the channel, but you have to talk about Donny van de Beek when Fred has been awful and McTominay is injured, because we didn't sign a CDM, so we don't have any more options. And I said this when we beat Wolves 2-1. Now, whenever we play Wolves, we normally don't play well. And the reason I'm not too fussed about our performance versus Wolves the other day is, although we were pretty shit against Wolves last week, whenever we play Wolves, we normally play shit. Even last season, when we beat Wolves 1-0, we with that Rashford last-minute winner, we still played shit in that game. I think the season before, I think we got 2 draws to Wolves, and the season before that, I think we lost to Wolves. And, yes, we beat Wolves 1-0, but you know what? We always play poor against Wolves. There's something about Wolves. They're always our little trump card where I feel like we always play poor against Wolves. But the one match in the last 3 years since Wolves have been promoted back to the Premier League that I didn't feel like we played poor against Wolves, and I thought we deservedly deserved to win, was that 2-1 game. And who played in the 2-1 win at the end of last season? Mr. Donny van de Beek. Who was man of the match in the 2-1 win at the end of last season? Mr. Donny van de Beek. And the control that Matic and Donny had of the Wolves midfield was 10 times of that of Fred and Pogba. Now, Pogba is an absolutely quality player, but when we played Wolves with Matic and Donny midfield, bear in mind, we beat a Wolves. Wolves played their strongest lineup. Wolves played their strongest lineup end of last season when we played them. They did. But we still completely controlled that game. We completely controlled that game versus Wolves. And you know what it was? It was literally because Donny and Matic controlled the game. Fred and Pogba got completely overrun versus Wolves last week. Fred and Pogba got completely overrun. Fred was atrocious, gave the ball away. Fred got mugged off. The defence had no protection, but luckily Champions League Varane was there to protect us. But when we played Wolves just 2-3 months prior to that match with Donny and Matic in the midfield, they controlled the midfield and we played better football. And to play better football, you need to control the midfield. And without getting a CDM in, it's like, okay, is Manchester United going to be able to play better football? But we can. If we don't play Matic and Fred, and if we drop Fred and give him a kick up the arse, I think we can, because the football we've played with Matic and Donny in the pivot has been good football. Whenever Matic and Donny played in the pivot, which is only about 4 times, it has been good football. Whenever Donny and Bruno played on the same pitch together, it has been good football. It's Donny's a box-to-box. Not when Donny was a winger versus Roma, but when Donny was a box-to-box and Bruno was a cam, it had been good football. I even think when we played Villarreal, extra time we were atrocious, but when McTominay and Pogba were in a pivot, I thought we deserved to beat Villarreal over the 90 minutes, and then we went to extra time, we played penalties, we were fucking shit. But what I'm trying to say is, we like the football we play massively, against Wolves. Any questions for me, pop them down below. Daniela Stewart said it's rumoured that Richard Arnold that stopped Lingard sell to West Ham, reason he didn't want to sell to a rival. I wouldn't put West Ham as a rival. I'm absolutely shocked that Lingard didn't go to West Ham. I'm shocked by it myself as a United fan, because I was convinced that Jesse Lingard was going to join West Ham. I was like, the World Cup's coming up. He knows he's not going to get the game time at Manchester United. West Ham look great. West Ham want him. This is great for his career. I was convinced that Jesse Lingard was going to go to West Ham. And United didn't sell him to West Ham. We know West Ham weren't willing to pay £25 million for him, but they were willing to pay £30 million for Kurt Zouma. I know, look, we are atrocious at selling. We couldn't even sell Pereira. We still can't sell Phil Jones. We are atrocious at selling as a club. But I was shocked that Jesse Lingard did not go to West Ham. And I think it was a silly decision from him. And I could put money on it that we'll be selling Jesse Lingard in January, because he's getting annoyed that he's not playing. We want to cash in on him because we're going to lose him on a free unless he signs a free contract and is willing to sit on the bench for another 6 months. But Jesse Lingard needs to start playing by January, realistically, because if Jesse Lingard only starts playing in September and in November, Southgate's got to choose a squad for the World Cup, because the stupid World Cup is in 2022 December. What fucking idiots. I know. Like, Jesse Lingard's going to want to play this season. So I don't know why we didn't sell Jesse Lingard. Maybe it's the new director of football, but West Ham aren't a rival. West Ham, you know what? They're going to be challenged for the top 6 probably last season, maybe this season. But even when Europa League games get going, I don't think they will. I think if that's the reason we didn't sell to West Ham because they're a rival, that's stupid. West Ham should never be a rival. Our rivals are Chelsea, City and Liverpool. Leicester are not a rival. Yes, Leicester are a good team and they've only been a few points behind us in the last few seasons. Leicester are not a rival. West Ham are not a rival. We are Manchester United. We shouldn't be looking at Leicester and West Ham as rivals. It's Liverpool, it's Chelsea, it's City. Liverpool, Chelsea, City. So hopefully that is not the case and all of that. People blame Pogba for his mentality, but it's clear when he plays left wing, his mentality is class. I think the situation with Paul Pogba is, and we said it a couple of times before, I think Paul Pogba, if he had a top DM next to him, would be brilliant in the pivot. I think Paul Pogba is dragged down by McTominay, because France Paul Pogba in the pivot is a completely different player. Paul Pogba could have got, if Mbappe could finish, Paul Pogba would have got about 5-6 assists in the Euros. Paul Pogba was clearly, with the few games played in the Euros, was absolutely fantastic. When Mbappe could finish, Pogba would have got 5 or 6 assists in the Euros, playing in a pivot. But the reason Paul Pogba doesn't have that impact on Manchester United when he plays in the pivot, and the only times he's ever had that impact on Manchester United when playing the pivot was when he played with Matic, is because he didn't have a CDM next to him. Because if you look at when Matic actually was playing good post-lockdown, when we had the NHS hearts on our shirt, Matic and Pogba in the pivot, Pogba was brilliant. And that was because Matic unlocked him. When you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he was interim manager before he got the permanent job with Matic, Herrera, Pogba in a 4-3-3, Pogba was absolutely fantastic because he got unlocked. Now, Pogba on the left wing last 2 games has been absolutely fantastic because he's allowed that creative freedom. But Pogba's best position is in the pivot because he gets more of the ball in the pivot. But the problem is if Pogba plays in the pivot with Fred, he can't unlock teams. You know, he just has to do that long ball over the top and hope for something because he's got to do so much more defensively. You know, we saw how the midfield ran past them. If you put a top CDM next to Paul Pogba in the pivot, I think you see France Pogba in the pivot. What Pogba can do in the on the left wing, he can do but better in the pivot if there's a good CDM next to him. And I literally think that Paul Pogba's problem is he gets dragged down by whatever stupid CDM is playing next to him. I think that's the situation with Paul Pogba because we know he's a fantastic player. We've seen him for France, 5 assists in the opening 2 games. I think Fred knocks down Paul Pogba, and you can't really play Donny with Pogba. Your only option is to play Matic with Pogba. I do think, and this is going to sound crazy, that maybe defensively Fred is a better option to play in the pivot with Pogba than McTominay for the pure sense that Fred's more mobile, and I think McTominay is more of a box-to-box player. But for me, I think, as I said, now Rashford's injured, playing Matic and Donny in the pivot with Pogba on the left. When Rashford's back to Rashi form, put Pogba in the pivot with McTominay or Pogba in the pivot with Matic, but rotate McTominay and Matic to keep them fresh legs. Because once we start playing 2 games a week, rotation's going to be so key, guys. You know, rotation's going to be so key once we start playing 2 games a week. As I've said this on the channel 100 times. Pep Guardiola and Thomas Tuchel rotated more than any other manager in world football last season. The amount of rotation throughout that team. What do they win? A Premier League and the Champions League. You know what? If you're going to choose any trophy to win, you're either going to choose the Premier League or the Champions League. If you're sitting here saying you'd rather win the FA Cup or a Carabao Cup over a Premier League and Champions League, you're lying. You're lying. And they won the Premier League and Champions League because they rotated. And once we start playing 2 games a week, which is next week, we've got Newcastle on the 11th, and I think we've got Young Boys, I'm going to say. No, not Young Boys or Club. I think we've got Young Boys or Club Brugge or whoever's in our group on the 14th. You've got to rotate. So if I'm Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'm going, okay, 1 week is going to be Matic and Donny in the pivot. The next week is going to be McTominay and Pogba in a pivot because Matic, if you play him every other game, can do a job. Now, you can't play Matic every game, but if you can play Matic every other game, can do a job. And I'm looking at the CDM issue, and this is what this talk's been about. I'm looking at the CDM issue at Manchester United, and I'm looking at what we can do now we haven't signed a CDM. And my solution is we haven't signed a CDM, but we can still win the league. And this is why we can win the league, because Varane doesn't need the protection Lindelof needs, so we don't need to play him with Fred or Matic and Fred. That's nailed up. We've got Ronaldo up front, so we want to play attacking football. We create chances. So again, we don't need to play with Fred or Matic and Fred. But also, McTominay and Pogba, I think, decent, better than McFred. You could probably win a league if you played Matic and Donny 1 week, then you rotate Matic and you do McTominay and Pogba in a pivot. And then every now and then Pogba plays on the left to rest Rashford because I think Rashford was run to the ground. I think Rashford needs to be rotated a bit more this season. And I generally think, you know, without a CDM, we can still win the league as a Manchester United fan if we play Matic every other game. Now, Matic could play in the pivot with Donny, Matic could play in the pivot with Pogba. But at the end of the day, yes, Matic just passed it. Yes, Matic wasn't great versus Southampton. But Matic is the only player at Manchester United that can actually play as a CDM. That is an actual CDM. And if he plays every other game, I think he has the legs for that. So, you know what? Playing McTominay and Pogba, fine. Playing Matic and Donny, fine. And that, for me, is how we win the league without signing a CDM. That for me. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you are watching and you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do go ahead and subscribe. Every like, every subscribe, every share absolutely means a lot. We are 30 subscribers from 17.6k, so we can hit that by the end of the stream. That would be absolutely insane. But if you are not subscribed, I do daily Manchester United content on the channel. I do about 5 live shows a week, so I go live normally at 7:30, 8:30, 5 times a week, where I do news updates, react to stories, talk tactics, read out your comments and all of that. I also do live watch-alongs, match reactions and match previews on the channel, as well as transfer news updates and all of that. Obviously, the transfer window is over, but if any transfer news comes out, I will let you know. Obviously, Thursday's video will have an idea of who's going to play versus Newcastle. We'll be talking about the Newcastle game Thursday. The international break, 1 week until we play Newcastle. Super excited for the Ronaldo debut. But if you're not subscribed and you like the idea of daily Manchester United content, I do short videos, I do live streams, I do watch-alongs, match reactions. Please do go ahead and subscribe. It means a lot. But thanks everyone for the support. Simple Math says Duan. Math Fred out, Donny. And look, I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Axeman says he'd rather give Garner a chance in CDM instead of Fred. Obviously, Garner's to Notts Forest on loan, I believe. But I'm at the point where Fred has been so bad that I genuinely feel like there's no excuse for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not to give Donny a chance. I mean, you might, if I'm James Garner, and if, say, James Garner didn't get a loan deal, if I was James Garner, I'd be sitting there going, your midfield shit, Ollie. Give me a chance. But I remember Ollie wouldn't give Angel Gomez a chance over Pereira. You know, this Ollie not giving new players a chance isn't a new thing. Before we got Bruno Fernandes, Pereira and Lingard were our options in the number 10 role. And Lingard was atrocious. Lingard went a year without getting a goal and assist. Lingard went over a year without getting a goal and assist. And then we changed that for Mr. Stat Padder Bruno, which is crazy. And then we played Pereira. Pereira and Lingard were our two options in the 10. And I remember Lingard was injured and Pereira was putting in stinker after stinker after stinker. And Mata was just past it. Mata was just past it. Mata's been past it 2-3 years. And we had young Angel Gomez. And I remember this was before COVID. This was before Bruno. We had a really good pre-season. I think we did a tour of Australia and Asia. And Angel Gomez and Greenwood were linking up in pre-season. Obviously, Greenwood got his opportunity. But I remember we used to sit there and go, why didn't he give Angel Gomez an opportunity? You know, Pereira's so shit. Lingard ain't doing it. Mata's past it. Why doesn't he give Angel Gomez an opportunity? And he never did. And this was Ollie before Bruno. And I think, you know what, Donny van de Beek gets that treatment that Angel Gomez gets, although he wasn't a youngster. And I think if James Garner didn't go on loan, we'd probably be saying, you know, can we give James Garner a chance? This Fred guy is so shit. But at the end of the day, it's the same situation. Fred's the Pereira, playing poor, still gets picked. Matic's just a Mata, way past it. Look, Tom Lyes, the Lingard can be good, not consistent, academy player. And then you got Garner and you go, you know what? All these players are saying so poor, let's give Garner a chance. But I don't think Ollie would do that because I remember when he did it with Angel Gomez. Exact C says we need a CDM, if not two. I would choose Ndidi and Sakari, then have two in the DM position that we can cover, so we can sell Fred and Matic. We could cover that position. I think if Paul Pogba sells, then we need to sign. If we sell Paul Pogba, we need to sign two midfielders. And I'm going to be talking about Paul Pogba to Real Madrid in just a second. I think if Paul Pogba leaves, you have to sign two midfielders. But for me, now I know the number one priority is Declan Rice, but I believe Declan Rice will go to Chelsea unless Sal does really well and they get Sal on a permanent. And Chelsea wouldn't really need Declan Rice if they have Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic and Sal. I know Declan Rice is the priority going into next summer. We know that, but Declan Rice wants Chelsea. For me, I would sign Ndidi. In a heartbeat, I would sign Wilfred Ndidi at Manchester United. I think Ndidi, Pogba in the midfield would be magnificent. And again, even if Pogba leaves, Ndidi, Donny in the midfield would work well. You know, Donny plays well next to Matic. Imagine him next to Ndidi to step up on Matic. Or even McTominay's a box-to-box. I've said this before, guys. I generally think McTominay could do what Souček could do. You know how Rice sits deep and Souček runs forward? I think McTominay could do that. McTominay's best against Man United is when he's gone forward, when he's driven forward, because McTominay's actually a goal threat, believe it or not. He is. So I think, you know, we sign a CDM, even if Pogba goes, you can play McTominay, you can play Donny next to him in the pivot, 100% for sure, and that should be Ndidi. I wouldn't personally sign two CDMs. I mean, I would, but I don't. It's not a priority. I do like Sakari as well. I do like Ruben Neves. But if Pogba leaves, I would sign Ndidi, and then I would look to sign a box-to-box midfielder. Now, I don't know who that box-to-box midfielder would be. Could it be Aouar, you know, the player that Arsenal really want? Could it be Basuma? I know he's been more of a CDM. But for me, I think the priority going into next summer, I know Haaland's priority. Haaland and Rice are the two priorities to next summer. There is rumours that we could go for a CDM in January, though we made so much money selling Ronaldo shirts. But yeah, we'll be Ndidi. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. But any questions you have for me, please do comment them in the live chat. I'm going to be reading out a few questions and I'm going to answer some Pogba news and a little bit of a Manchester United update. So smash that like button, comment any questions. Give me just one sec. We're also 22 subscribers away from 17.6k. So please do go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Declan Rice and Ruben Neves, says Jonas Loik. Which CDM would you bring in at Manchester United? I think obviously this summer it would have been Neves because it was realistic. But if we're going to next summer and we're going to spend a whole budget on a CDM, I would go for Mr. Wilfred Ndidi. SM says Brozovic, Kessie, Sakari are all out of contract in the summer. Opportunity to get a deal over the line in January. You make a very, very solid point. And Basuma only has 1 year left on his deal, so you could get Basuma really, really cheap in summer. But this is a situation Manchester United desperately need a CDM. Now we're going to go into next season without we're going to go into this season without a CDM. We know that we've discussed what we can do with rotating Matic and the DM options. But as SM says, Brozovic, Kessie and Sakari are all decent players. Now, they're not Ndidi, they're not amazing players. Well, Kessie actually is a solid player, but 100% I would be going for Kessie. If Kessie's out of contract in the summer, I would 100% be going in for Kessie if I was Manchester United in January. Because even if we don't sign Kessie in January, that's him sorted for next summer. That's a midfielder sorted for next summer. And next summer, Paul Pogba could leave on a free. So you have to sign 2 midfielders. So if United go in January and Kessie, can you come to the club? You know, we've got 1 year left. Can you sign us on a pre-contract, join us in summer? That's out of the way. So then if Paul Pogba does leave, we have the whole summer because we signed Kessie on a free. So it doesn't even take money out of the budget. We'd have the whole summer to go focus on like a midfielder that we should sign. And hopefully Pogba does stay at Manchester United. Hopefully Pogba doesn't go. But Martial has also scored. Big up Tony Martial, by the way, guys. I just saw that. I just refreshed my Twitter. Martial's got a goal for France, which is really good because, you know what, whether you like Martial or not, he's a confidence player. I know he scored a goal for France and not Manchester United, but if he gets a goal for France, I think his confidence going back after scoring a goal will be brilliant. So it's actually been a really good international break for Man United. Bruno scored, Martial scored, Ronaldo scored. I don't know who else has scored. Let me know in the chat. But Martial did score a goal for France, by the way, guys. I just thought I'd swing that out, by the way, which is very, very interesting. So big up Mr. Tony Martial there. I've just got a one Wi-Fi bar showing up. You take in the mic. There we go. So, yeah, good up Martial. But what was I talking about? Yeah, I was talking about CDM options. I think that's what SM said is definitely we should look. I think Kessie out of these options, if not Sakaria. For me, Brozovic would be last. But 100% because, look, this is the situation. Real Madrid are in the middle of a rebuild. Real Madrid are not good right now. But their midfield future is Valverde and CAMAVINGA. So they've got 2 young players in there. Now, Mbappe is going to be 3 in the summer and Paul Pogba is going to be 3 in the summer. So, yes, Real Madrid, you know, aren't the best they used to be. But if Real Madrid can get Paul Pogba and Mbappe on a free, that is some mad business. And if they can get Paul Pogba and Mbappe on a free, they could also get a top centre-back to replace Varane and Ramos, which I don't think they did. They could maybe steal Jules Koundé from under Chelsea's noses next summer because Koundé to Chelsea fell through. So Real Madrid could possibly go next summer, Pogba free, Mbappe free, Koundé, we'll sign him now because you know what, you know Spain, he's good in La Liga. And then Real Madrid have a very, very good team again. So although Real Madrid's in the mud, you know, Paul Pogba could be attracted to the rebuild of Real Madrid. However, saying that, Paul Pogba's in the final years of his career and surely he wants to spend that winning trophies. Now, I think at Real Madrid, it could take them a year or 2, but I think eventually they will win trophies. I mean, La Liga is so dead right now. Like, I think Barcelona are going to be out of it for a few years, so I think it would be a Real Madrid Atleti race. But hopefully we keep Paul Pogba. I hope to death we keep Paul Pogba because if we sell Paul Pogba, you have to sign 2 midfielders. And as you said there, sign one in January on a pre-contract. They're free. You can focus on Pogba replacement because to replace Pogba, you need a great player. There's no player in football right now that could actually replace Paul Pogba because Paul Pogba is the best at what he does. He's a box-to-box player that can offer so much going forward, but is physical, is tall. There's no player out there that can offer what Paul Pogba does. So it's so hard to find a replacement as well for Paul Pogba. It'd be so hard to find a replacement for Paul Pogba. Donny is the best CDM at the moment. I mean, Matic is the only out-and-out CDM we have, but considering that McTominay is injured, Fred's been atrocious, and Matic doesn't have the legs anymore, and Pogba's been so good in the left mid. Donny, there's no reason for Donny not to play in the pivot. I've said it 100 times on the channel. No reason. What about Elanga? Where would he fit into the team after having a wonderful preseason? I'm actually going to talk about Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga is absolutely tearing out for Sweden under 21s. He's doing really great at the moment. He had a brilliant preseason. Anthony Elanga looking like a baller. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But if Amad Diallo cannot get in the team, and Jesse Lingard cannot get in the team, and Donny van de Beek cannot get in the team, do you think Elanga's going to get into the team? I mean, Daniel James got a lot of opportunities, so potentially. But I look at him and I go, I can't really see Elanga. You need to loan. I think he's a baller. I thought he looked better than Daniel James in pre-season. I'm sure he could offer us something. But as I said, the squad depth at Manchester United, striking options, Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, Greenwood. Martial's just scored for France, by the way, guys. Boom. So 4 players that can play at striker. So Elanga would be 5th choice at striker. You look at your left wingers. Rashford, Pogba, Martial, Sancho, Elanga. Elanga, again, would be 5th choice at left winger. Now, Elanga doesn't even play on the right wing, but ahead of Elanga would be Sancho, Rashford and Greenwood. So Elanga would be an Amad. So Elanga would still be 5th choice at right winger. So Elanga, as good as he's been at the moment, doing well in the under-23s and all of that, he's not going to get into the squad, so we need a loan. And I think that's why Amad needed a loan. I think I sit there and go, if Amad's 5th choice in those positions, Juan Mata is also 5th choice in those positions. So I do sit there and go, why on earth have we given Juan Mata a new big heavy contract for an extra year? Why didn't we let him go on a free? I don't know, guys, but yeah. Reshav says, Ollie's first 3 months post-lockdown period, 2 times United consecutively played good football. Matic was seen him on both occasions, explains a lot. I said this earlier in the video. the best football we've played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been when we've had an out-and-out CDM. Matic is the only out-and-out CDM at Manchester United, but he can't consistently do a job. Best football we played was when he was interim manager. Matic, Herrera, Pogba, fantastic, got the perm job. Then post-lockdown, NHS United, NHS Martial, you remember that? Brilliant. Pogba, Bruno, Matic, brilliant. Matic, unfortunately, cannot do that week in, week out. He just doesn't have the legs for it. But when Matic can do that, we play our best football. Matic, Donny versus Wolves, when we beat them 2-1 end of the season, we controlled the midfield. Fred, Pogba got abolished in midfield versus Wolves. Same midfield, by the way, that we played versus Wolves, just a different manager. One gets abolished, then 3 weeks prior to that, Matic and Donny dominate that midfield. Because CDM is so important. And this is why I've said, Ronaldo's come to Manchester United to win the league, and not having a CDM is an excuse for Ole not to win the league, because you know what you can do? Matic and Donny 1 week in the pivot, then you give Matic a rest, and you do Pogba and Scott. Matic and Donny, give him a rest, Pogba and Scott. You don't need McFred, you don't need Matic and Fred, because Varane doesn't need the protection Lindelof needs. Varane got no protection versus Wolves against Adama Traore and dealt with it fine. You're 100% correct with that. You're 100% correct with that. I think Pogba wants to leave. Potentially, yes. I think Paul Pogba wants to do what's best for his career, though. Maybe money, with the way he's playing now, if Pogba continues to play like he played in the first 2 games of the season, I say go ahead, chuck a load of money at Paul Pogba. If he continues to play how he played the first 2 games of the season, I sit here going, go chuck some money at Paul Pogba, do. But what I'm going to say, actually, regarding Paul Pogba, is, look, you've got Ronaldo at Manchester United. If we look, if at Christmas team, we are challenging for a league, if we're up there in the title race at Christmas, if we get out our Champions League group, with Ronaldo in the squad, with Varane in the squad, with Bruno in the squad, with Rashford in the squad, and Martial in the squad, Paul Pogba might sit there and go, you know what? This Man United squad's going to go somewhere. Because if we're in a title race and we get out our Champions League group, Christmas time, Paul Pogba could sit there and sign a new deal. Bish, boom. And if Paul Pogba signs a new deal, I only believe that we need to add a CDM to that squad to be a real force. Now, I think we can win the league without CDM because I said rotate Matic and Donny, and then McTominay and Pogba the next week. 1 week Matic and Donny, the next week McTominay and Pogba. Get that rotation and freshen up Matic's legs. Pep rotates every week, Man City win the league. Tuchel rotates every week, Chelsea win the Champions League. If Ole gets that rotation, I think we can win the league without CDM. Look, do I think we'll win the league? Probably be Chelsea, but I do. And you add a CDM to that team, I think there's no excuse not for us to win the league. You know, people say, is Wan-Bissaka good enough? Wan-Bissaka stopped just losing versus Wolves. He stopped just losing versus Wolves, goal line clearance. Wan-Bissaka, 1 game next to Varane, he looked a completely different player, looked absolutely fantastic. We've got Dalot as backup to Wan-Bissaka. I think you can rotate Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. If you play on a team like Burnley, they're going to sit deep. I go, why don't you play Dalot over Wan-Bissaka? Because defensively, you know, Jay Rodriguez isn't going to cause Dalot many problems defensively, let's be honest. And going forward, Dalot's crossing is better than Wan-Bissaka. Ronaldo in the box, header, boom. Ronaldo's a better header than all the Burnley defenders. You can't say that about many Man United players, other than maybe Maguire and Matic. Like, you know, I think CDM is the only position that United need now. Maybe when Cavani and probably Martial will probably leave next summer, you go, okay, let's go Erling Haaland, 60 million released clause, he's available. I completely understand that. You maybe go, okay, let's go for Erling Haaland next summer, but CDM's all you need to add to the squad. But if Paul Pogba leaves, then you have to get 2 midfielders in. And that, again, that's when it could potentially be an issue. SM says, unfortunately, Madrid is the dream for many players. We are winning everything, but Ronaldo still dreamed of playing for Real Madrid regardless. Yeah, again, that could be a situation with Paul Pogba. If Real Madrid is really his dream, he could go there. You know, Real Madrid aren't that interested in Paul Pogba. They really want a Paul Pogba. You know, if Real Madrid were willing to ship out 170 million quid on Mbappe, they could have shipped out 50 million on Pogba. I don't think Real Madrid really want Pogba. And would Pogba go somewhere he's not particularly wanted? But if Pogba's available for free, Real Madrid wouldn't pass that up. I think anyone would be stupid to pass up Pogba on a free, but yeah. Graham says that Ronaldo doesn't solve our problems. Look at Chelsea, Sal, Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho at levels of our friend McSauce. I 100% agree. I wasn't saying that Ronaldo's solved our problems at all. I'm just saying with Ronaldo's mentality, with the players we have, I still think we can challenge for a title. I don't think we have the midfield to do it, but I think it's possible. Manchester City didn't have a striker last season, really. They had a finished Aguero and an average Jesus. And I think McTominay is average. He's like a Jesus. And Matic is finished. He's like an Aguero. Midfield, I think, is more important than striker if you have so many players like Man City that can actually score. But no, what I was trying to say is, yeah, our midfield is nowhere near the levels of any other teams, and we definitely need a CDM. But I still think we can challenge. I think we can challenge. I don't think we'll win, but I think that there should be no excuse for us not to challenge for the league. In my opinion, there should not be an excuse. We're on 184 likes. We've got over 200 people watching. So let's go push for 300 likes, guys. If you have not hit that like button, please go ahead and smash that like button. let's go ahead and go for that 300 likes and all of that. The Ghost thinks that Donny has potential to be a solid CDM, but Ollie picks Fred over Donny. You know, Donny's played as a CDM quite a lot for Ajax. Donny is a box-to-box player. Donny's best games for Man United have come where he's had Matic next to him, and he's played as a box-to-box. But you know what? Could Donny do a worse job than Fred at CDM? No. Donny couldn't do a worse job than Fred at CDM, so I have no issue if we decided to play Donny at CDM, because I'd be like, couldn't be much worse than Fred. I'm just going to take a quick drink of water, and I've got a couple news stories to talk about. Then I'll read out some live chats. So any questions for me, pop them down below. And while I drink this water, go ahead and subscribe for daily United content. We're doing a watch-along for Ronaldo's debut on Saturday. Watch-along with Alice Talks Football for Ronaldo's debut Saturday. So go subscribe to that, as well as match preview, match reactions, news as well. I have a couple of news stories I want to cover while we've got people into the live chat and all of that. Give us Pogba, Modric is leaving. I'm assuming you're a Real Madrid fan saying that. And SM says that Ronaldo doesn't fix a hollow midfield, but he adds at least 15 to 20 goals a season and can be a match winger on his own in big games, says SM. You know what? I agree with that. Look, Ronaldo was very, very quiet for Portugal versus Ireland. I've said this about 4 times this stream. Got 2 chances, 2 goals, boom. By the way, guys, we are 4 subscribers away from 15.6k. 4 more of you need to subscribe. And we hit 15.6k. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed and you want to stay up to date with daily United content, please do go ahead and subscribe, by the way, guys, because that would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, 4 more of you to subscribe. Please do. Please do. But what are the stories, by the way? Why have we got people in? And great, my Wi-Fi's lagging. Why have we got people in? Martial has scored for France. Bruno scored for Qatar today. England play tomorrow. Did you guys watch the England game? Did I watch the England game? I watched the second half. Thank God I didn't watch the first half because apparently it was shit. But I watched the second half as well. But England back tomorrow. International break nearly over. It looks like Martial has scored another goal. Has he scored? What's the France game? 1-0. But Martial's back scoring. So back to the topic. Do you think Ollie will keep De Gea as number 1 throughout the games? I mean, De Gea has saved Ollie 4 points. If Ollie drops De Gea, he is a mug. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer decides to drop David De Gea, he is a mug, guys. There's no other word to describe it. Because if it wasn't for David De Gea, Southampton would have scored and Wolves would have scored. And Ollie could be sitting here with 3 points after 9 games. You know, 3 points after. David De Gea cannot be dropped. Whether he wants to drop him or not, he can't be dropped. I think we should have sold Dean Henderson. I think we're going to regret not selling Dean Henderson. If Arsenal are paying 30 million for Ramsdale, I think we could have sold Dean Henderson for 40 million. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he'd be an absolute mug. What I do want to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys because I want to show you the results of the midfield debate, because I think I showed this in another live stream, but I'm going to get it on my screen because my Wi-Fi is being really laggy. So I feel like if I get that on my screen, it should be better quality. But this is the midfield debate, by the way, guys. This is what I was talking about earlier. McTominay and Pogba and Donny and Matic is what the fans want. Knowing Ollie, he's going to play McTominay and Fred, which got 10% of the votes. But this is the midfield duo the fans want to see. And as I said at the beginning of the video, rotation is key. Matic can't play week in, week out. So play Matic every other week, or maybe at weekends only, or maybe midweek only with Donny. And then rest Matic and put Rashie on the left when he's back, or Martial on the left when Rashie's not back, and move Pogba to the pivot and play him with McTominay. Okay, now look, McTominay's not going to ever get the best out of Pogba, but it's Fred and Pogba or McTominay and Pogba, because we need to rest Matic, and I don't know if Donny and Pogba will work, although having said that, Donny could do a worse job than Fred, but I think right now Fred would edge it. Henderson's the second choice keeper. We should have sold him. Donny got a goal and assist on his debut, still dropped. Ollie full of shit. 100%. Ollie is full of shit. This is the question, actually. So I got the topics that I wanted to talk about in today's screen, and we talked about most of them. We did go off on a bit of ramble. So the topics I wanted to talk about in today's live stream was Ronaldo back in Manchester. Now he's back. He's ended Portugal duty early. He's going to be available to play in the Newcastle game. We know that. Fabrizio Romano revealed some transfer news regarding Manchester United, how we got the Ronaldo deal done in 24 hours. The reason we didn't get CAMAVINGA, even though we wanted him, was because he went to Real Madrid. If CAMAVINGA wanted United, they would have signed him. They would have signed a midfielder. We know that Martial's obviously scored versus France. There's the game going on. We were talking about the Ronaldo breaking record shirt sale. We've spoken about that. Will United sign anyone in January? Depends how shit we look. We'll talk about that. That's more nearer January. We'll talk more about that. Mason Greenwood cannot be dropped. That was the topic of today's video. He can't. You know, could Ronaldo and Greenwood form an unstoppable duo? That could be a topic in a later video, by the way, guys. Woodward's replacement is another Woodward. We've got Woodward's being replaced by another Woodward, by the way. Bored of international break. If you're bored of international break, smash that like button. I hate the international break. If you agree with me, I said this at the start of my live stream. Whatever idiot sits there and goes, I'm going to put an international break 3 games into the Premier League season, should be sacked. It's criminal. Sancho obviously dropped out of England duty with a knock. Will Donny get the minutes as promised? Now I was going through all the topics for today's video. Will Donny get the minutes as promised, by the way, guys? And look, Ollie stops Donny van de Beek leaving, by the way, guys. If you didn't know that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually sat there and he stopped Donny van de Beek leaving Manchester United. Donny was going to get a loan move to Everton. Ollie stopped it. Donny's agent basically came out, chat shit, and reacted with just words. Will Donny van de Beek get the game time he's promised at Manchester United? I think with Varane coming in, with Donny poking up, with McTominay's injury and how shit Fred is, if Donny van de Beek does not get a start in the next couple of games, it's an absolute disgrace. The fact that we've blocked this guy getting a loan move, we won't let him leave. We've promised him game time. He's bulked up. He's done a good pre-season with Matic in the pivot. He's spent the whole of pre-season with you. He's ready and raring to go. Fred has been shit. McTominay's been injured. You're now playing Varane next to Maguire, so you can't. I excused Ollie for playing Fred last season because I said Lindelof and Maguire need that protection. Lindelof's not good enough. They're slow. Now you've got Varane in, who got no protection versus Wolves against Adama Traore and dealt with it fine. You don't need to play him at Fred. So if Donny doesn't get the minutes, it's a disgrace because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stopped Donny van de Beek leaving Manchester United. Ollie was like, nah, I ain't letting Donny leave, and stopped it. He stopped it. So for me, hopefully Donny will get the minutes he's promised. Donny has been promised minutes, and I do go. One thing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to do more is rotate. Now, I had my 3 criticisms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The first one was subs. He's making his subs too late. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did make early subs versus Leeds, an early-ish sub versus Southampton. Questionable subs, but they were earlier because he did put McTominay when we needed a goal and he was injured. And then he made an early sub versus Wolves. He took off Dan James in like the 50th minute for Cavani. So Ole has ticked off the early sub box. Boom. The second thing Ole's got to do for me to be an elite manager is rotate the squad like Pep and Tuchel do. As I said, I've said so many times in this video, Matic and Donny in the pivot 1 week, rest Matic because he can't do it week in, week out, McTominay and Pogba in the pivot the following week. That's the second thing he's got to do. He's got to do that squad rotation. And if he does that squad rotation, Johnny will get chances, especially with the Champions League starting next week. Next week we'll be talking about Champions League. This time next week, I'll be talking about our first Champions League game. Mad. Matt, cannot wait. Stupid international break. Can you end? So that's the second thing Ollie's got to do. And the third thing Ollie's got to do is not play negative football. The third criticism I've had of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is this: I'm too scared to lose. And I think he did that versus Southampton. I'm thinking Southampton are one of the favourites to get relegated. They've lost Ings, they've lost Vestergaard. Southampton are one of the favourites to get relegated. And Ollie was like, you know what? I'm going to put McTominay on. I'm too scared not to lose. I'm going to put McTominay on. Maybe it was the away record motivation. So they're my 3 criticisms of Ollie. So hopefully, the early subs looks like it's started to do, but hopefully he does the other 2. And I think if he does the other 2, he's got potential to actually do stuff at Man United. But if he continues to make those same mistakes, for me, we're not going to win the league. Viva Ronaldo in the chat. Viva Ronaldo. Ronaldo's debut versus Newcastle, guys. How excited are you for Ronaldo's debut versus Newcastle? I think one of the reasons I want the international break to just end so badly is because I actually want to see like Ronaldo in action. Like, I mean, I've always hated international breaks. I only like international games when it's World Cup or Euros. I do not care about qualifiers. I do not care about friendlies. I hate the international breaks. 3 games into the Premier League season. We waited 12 weeks for the Premier League. 2 weeks later, we've got to wait another week. Stupid. But I'm so excited for the Newcastle game. Do you know what's annoying? Is Sky Sports and BT Sport must be kicking themselves. Sky Sports and BT Sports must be kicking themselves because Man United Newcastle is not meant to be shown in England. Man United Newcastle is not meant to be shown in England. So Sky Sports must be, honestly, they must be fuming. Hopefully it will get shown in England. But despite that, I've got my ways. I've got my ways to watch the game. Don't worry. There will be a watch along for that. Despite that. Ollie was not scared to lose at first. Then he lost 6 by Tottenham and he got scared to lose. I think we'll be fine. I do agree with that. I do think that Tottenham thing mentally must have affected Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a fair bit. Alicia says she's so excited for the watch along. I'm excited for the Ronaldo watch along. Obviously, I've got to get that sorted and make sure I can watch the game, but 99% sure that will happen. I'll find a way. And SM says qualifier is just another word for friendly, in my opinion. They're all pointless and stupid, especially during COVID. Exactly. We had to go all the way to Hungary to just let the players be abused, isolate, pick up COVID. Stupid. Ollie, are you Southgate in disguise? Ollie is a bit of a Southgate. Ollie and Southgate are very, very similar managers who all said that CR7 is the best. And Axeman says, I'm hyped for the CR7 debut, but if Fred is in the lineup, I'm scared at the same time. If Fred gets in the lineup, and he probably will because he hasn't gone international duties, spent a few weeks with Ollie. Oh my God. Kadama says that Alanga is not starting anytime soon. Greenwood would most probably play on the right. I think Sancho's knock seems to be minor. Greenwood can't be dropped. We're going to end the live stream in the next 10 minutes, but the final thing I want to talk about is Greenwood. Mr. Mason Greenwood, one Manchester United Player of the Month, nominated for Premier League Player of the Month. Mason Greenwood, absolute baller, guys. Fantastic player, baller. Now, Ronaldo coming in next to Greenwood. Ronaldo's going to improve Greenwood. Greenwood can't be dropped. Now, Greenwood and Ronaldo as a duo, you know, we've seen the Ronaldo Rooney era. Now, Greenwood can finish like Rooney. Could this be the Ronaldo Greenwood era? Could it be the Ronaldo Greenwood era? Who knows? CR7 is the best, I agree. But guys, I am going to go and end the live stream here, by the way, guys. You managed to hit 17.6k during this live stream. So we actually picked up 50 subscribers in this live stream. So big up everyone that did subscribe. Thank you very much. I will be live again Monday night for some news updates. Unless there's nothing that happens on Monday, then I'll be live Tuesday night. But there will be probably a live stream Monday night. If anything massive happens, I will be live again tomorrow. I do normally go live most nights, but because it's international break and because the Chancellor Winners just ended the news, there's not much exciting news at the moment. So I don't like to go live for the sake of going live. Like, I like quality over quantity. Plus, I have live. But what I'm trying to say is I might be live tomorrow if anything happens. If not, I'll probably be live Monday night. Back with it. There could be a video coming out tomorrow though. I have a short 5-minute video that I'm going to release on the channel this week, which is going to be exciting. So do subscribe for that. Watch along on Saturday, match preview Friday, match reaction Sunday. So please do subscribe for all of that stuff. So much to come in the next week. Ronaldo debut, Champions League starts all in the next 10 days, guys. So go ahead and subscribe for that. But thank you everybody for tuning in today's live stream. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Please share the stream. 300 likes. Let's go, baby. See you next time. One more thing, two more things before we end the live stream. Please do go ahead to Football Content Award votings. You can vote for me for Best Young Content Creator and Best Premier League Club Content Creator. So please do go ahead. If you go to the Football Content Awards, and there's a selection where you can click voting. You can vote for Alice Talks Football. I'll go put a link in the description if I haven't already. Please do vote for that. And the second thing is, if you have any questions for me in the live chat that I did not answer, I will try and answer them in my next live stream. So make sure you have the bell notifications on, and I will try and answer any questions or chats in my next live stream. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in today's live stream. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, smash the share. Big up everyone in the chat. See you next time. Bye. Technical difficulties. I pressed the wrong button. I didn't end the live stream. But yeah, all right. Thank you everyone for watching. We are now officially ending the live stream despite pressing the wrong button. So thank you for watching. Bye.